Hello, I am Paula Bennett and welcome to my New Zealand Herald podcast, Ask Me Anything. Now, one thing I've learnt in life is it's never too late to learn something new. So on this podcast, I talk to people from all walks of life to hear about how they got to where they are and get some advice and guidance on some of life's biggest questions. Today's guest has quite the CV. 4-time world squash champion, former chief executive. She was a race relations commissioner, a reality TV star, and she continues to be a board member for many organisations. She is now also an author. Dame Susan Devoy, you all knew who it was, has released her memoir, Dame Suzy D, My Story, and I am delighted to have her in the studio with me. Susan, do you like the Dame?
No.
It's quite funny, yeah. Like the girls generally don't.
Well, I think I don't like it, but I think that there's this. Put it this way: if you enter a room, there's a whole lot of males there that are sirs. People will automatically call them
Sir.
Sir. You know, Sir Murray Halberg, Sir Richard Hadley, Sir whoever, and they will always say to the Dame, more or less, unless they're very mature in age, they'll say, "And what would you like to be called, Susan?"
Yeah, quite different, eh?
Yeah.
But then there's a level of respect. I mean, that is an absolute honour that this country has given you in recognition, and we will talk about it because you talk about it in the book as well, not just, of course, of your amazing sporting prowess and wins, but also because of the generosity of what you've given back to the community over many years. And I think that calling you Dame Susan is actually a sign of respect for that as well.
Well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Dame Paula. Oh, no, that's right. Is that coming? Is that coming, or did you turn yours down?
No. When I was a minister, I didn't particularly like being called minister, and it was my staff and others who said, actually, it's a sign of respect, and respect for the role, not just of you, and so you should give it that due respect. And so I kind of got a bit more used to it.
I thought that I'm supposed to be telling you things. We telling
share.
me? Oh, okay.
We just
cool.
share.
Okay.
We just have a sharesy.
Right.
Okay, bit of housekeeping. It's called Ask Me Anything, so I kind of get to ask you anything.
And vice versa?
You get one shot.
Great. I've been thinking about it.
But you don't have to answer. This is the advice I give everyone. Because people can ask you whatever they like, right? But it's completely, you are you. You know that. You don't
do I
have
say,
to answer.
pass?
You can do, pass. Nah.
Okay. I like that.
Nah. You can do the Kiwi thing. And then I call it the safe space, which I'm sure you'll appreciate as well. And it's just that kind of, no judgy, no tricks, no. It's just fun, really, getting to know you. Okay, quick fire. Do you cook?
Not really.
Not really. So if you're having a dinner party, who would you invite?
If I could invite anyone?
Yeah, anyone. Alive or
anyone.
Dead. Let's go alive or dead.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'd invite George Clooney.
Oh, yes.
Probably his wife.
Yeah. She's interesting, eh? Well, she seems like she would be.
Catherine.
Yes.
Princess of Wales.
Yes.
How many am I allowed? I can't cook very well.
I was going to say, you're going to have to cook for them all.
Yeah. It's an interesting question.
If you have really good people, if you have too many, you don't get to have an actual conversation with them.
No, because I'd be in the kitchen, because I'm not a very good cook. So I'd be in there a lot.
We could send John in.
Yeah, he's worse, much worse. Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's all right. I've been to the Allen and Unwin Publishing and picked up some cookbooks today. So I'm going to learn how to be a baker. I've decided.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it? It's really exciting for someone in their seventh decade of life.
Wow, I bake, but I bake things I don't like, so I don't eat them.
Well, that's why I just said I can't be like that, because my personality is I'm not a one biscuit from the packet with a cup of tea. I'm the whole packet. So I don't buy that stuff.
Yeah, I sort of have to. Okay, let's chat about the memoir. So let's go kind of right back. So you're the only girl in a family of 6 boys.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I say that I've been punished for all the terrible things I've said about men in my life, because I got 6 brothers and no sisters, and then I went on to have 4 sons and no daughters.
Wow. And you were the youngest too, weren't you?
Yep.
So were they protective? Was there that big brother protective kind of element to it as well?
A little bit. I can't remember all of it. I mean, my eldest brother they were leaving home when I was born. I think it was a bit later in my life that they became very protective. I remember particularly when John came on the scene, they were, very concerned that this young gentleman was going to be in the wrong influence. But no, not really. I mean, but they did mould how I grew up. They helped me become resilient and independent. And that was basically because we were all left to our own devices because my parents worked so hard.
Yeah, and do you think also that resilience and strength of character and determination that you have, and quite frankly, you have to have that to have been as good as you were at sport, so that's not just my opinion, that's a fact, I've decided. Do you think that comes from kind of growing up in such a busy household as well, and one where you kind of I imagine you had to hold your own, did you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I wasn't allowed to play cricket until I could learn to bowl straight, and I wasn't allowed to play tag football or, whatever until I could spiral pass, and I wasn't allowed. I mean, there was all of these conditions that I would be able to participate with my brothers as long as I could do it at a certain level.
Yeah.
So, and there were, I mean, they're not in the book, but, as you know, growing up, stories of my broken arms and falling out of trees and... that they were always encouraging me to push myself beyond what was probably acceptable limits for a female of my age,
Were you treated differently because you were a girl?
Not really.
No. See, I was. I know I was just the youngest and had two older brothers, but I was treated completely differently because I was a girl. So different rules, different curfews, different expectations of what I would wear and what I would do,
My mother had an expectation and I really let her down because I was the only daughter and she really was, she loved looking smart. She had her hair done every Friday and she always had beautiful nails and I'd bite mine to the quick, and she loved sewing and made all these beautiful dresses for me and everything. So I would have been a real disappointment in that department. But in terms of everything else, I was treated exactly the same. But I also think with 7 of us, by the time I came around, they were probably so worn out. Yeah, it's a bit like our own children. By the time the 4th came around, I always say that Jamie bought himself up. We were over it by then.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
good luck out there.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, get it. Hey, I found the book. By the way, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and I mean that. And I had laugh out loud moments, and then I had gasping moments for you because you are so blunt and so honest and so open in the book. Was some of it hard to write? Was it looking back on some of those memories, and you talk about your father's illness, you talk about having a miscarriage all on the same day. I mean, some of it, was sort of sitting back and reflecting to write. Was it difficult?
It wasn't difficult to write at the time. It's more difficult now when people relay that they've read it. I wasn't emotional at the time writing it, although it was quite cathartic. But I started out wanting this to be a name and shame tell-all and get even with all the people that I really got up my snoz, But it didn't end up like that because as I went through the process, I thought... I mean, you will know what it's like when you're being got at in the public space. You think the whole world is reading about you, don't you?
Yep.
The whole world is reading about what you did wrong or, how you mucked up or whatever. And the reality is that's actually not true.
No.
So, I would say things and people say, oh, I didn't know that. Because we become insular about that's our insecurities. We become, it's not an egotistical thing that we think the whole world is talking about us, but when you're affected, you think the whole world is. So it sort of changed. I decided that it wasn't going to be, what was that going to prove?
Yeah.
That actually says more about those people than it does about me, and I'd end up being nasty and bitter like they were. So
why write it now?
I had no intention of writing it now, but Alan and Unwin kindly sent me an email via someone I knew, and I thought... It was the timing was perfect. My husband's been retiring for a long, long time.
Yeah, okay.
And he's still doing it.
Yeah.
So I can't really get stuck into anything or do something because we want to travel and do different things. So I've been in a bit of a transition or wondering what I'm going to do next. So this was one way to use up all that time I had on my hands.
Wow. Let's talk about squash. I mean, and, we've talked about... your desire to win, and were you the same off court as on court? I mean, obviously you had such a strength and determination and a level of fitness and you went for it. If you did have a loss, how were you later?
Publicly, I was fine. I always made sure that my sportsmanship was impeccable. But behind the scenes, I was probably not, I say that in the book. I look back a bit cringeworthy of how affected I was by losing what is really just a game, And I put it into hindsight now and think, God, if my sons behaved like that, I'd be horrified. And in fact, they probably do behave like that. There was a recent incident on a golf course, actually. And I thought, here am I telling someone off. But that was more of a public display. But yeah, I justify that now by writing it and looking at it and think, I had done nothing else in my life apart from play squash. And from a very, very, very young age. And I'd had, I'd had my losses as I'd gone through. But once I became number one in the world, I had very, very, very few losses. And I thought that my whole self was determined only by me being a world squash champion.
Wow.
And that
was your whole identity. That was who you were. That was your...
Yeah, and I thought that if I didn't live up to that own expectation, then what and who was I?
Yeah.
Sounds a bit silly, but...
No, I was the same when I left politics. I knew I'd been good at it. I knew I had. And so trying to work out who I was beyond such a big identity was a journey. But you talk about squash also being social and families and such a big part. And, we mentioned before we came on air that, we had someone in common and she talks about squash in the same way as to raising her children.
I think I snuck my husband into your friend's house once, very many years ago when I was probably only 18 or 19, actually, when they used to billet me. And I knew they knew. They just didn't say anything.
That would be them too. They would be very discreet.
Yeah. No, it was, it's, as I say, it's been a huge part of my life, particularly those first 30 years. It's continued to be a part of my life, when they say it's in your blood, it's in your blood. But yeah, and I'm very grateful for that. It was very social. I mean, it still is very social. So, I didn't partake in the social side of it for 30 years because, I was too busy being competitive. But my parents and the rest of my family made up for that.
Yeah. And is squash going to the Olympics? Did I read that? That's neat. Is that cool?
Oh, that's just catapulted a minority sport into a whole different stratosphere. I've just been to the IOC in Lausanne a few weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm on the board of World Squash and, it was always only ever Zoom meetings. And now suddenly with this announcement, we are, at a whole different level. So it will change... I mean, it's a demonstration sport first at Los Angeles 2028, so we've got to make sure that it stays there. But, it is... It could change the whole sport for, not just internationally, but certainly here in New Zealand when you've got young people that are really good with a choice of a whole lot of other sports now thinking, my sport,
I could go to the Olympics. Yeah, I could make it to the Olympics. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk Celebrity Treasure Island.
You should go on that.
Oh,
it'd be good.
I could think of nothing worse. And reading your book, it just put me off even more.
I know, it is.
People have said to me, won't you go on? Then I go, the thought of no wine, an uncomfortable bed, being seen in my togs.
Like a bit of whining.
Oh, God. Thank goodness for that.
You've been seen in your togs, that's awful.
But you must have enjoyed it enough because you went back a second time.
I went back the second time because they asked my son. And then I thought, if I don't, he's not going to get that opportunity. Which in hindsight was dumb, really, because I probably should have just said no. It's, look, between you and the doorpost, it's a bit of pocket money.
Yeah. But I thought you were different in the second.
More guarded?
Yeah, well, the opposite, actually. I thought in the first one, I thought you were more blunt. I thought you were a bit, not quite dismissive, but I thought in the second one, I don't know, that you were a bit kinder to people. Do you think?
I like the people more.
See? There you go. Yeah,
to me, I'll be kind back.
Yeah, I just picked this up myself, by the way.
I just think that, I'd been on it before and I had, I'd come into the first show a bit late, so I was sort of, I was supposed to be an intruder, but they'd been together for a long time because prior to going on that show, they'd been stuck together because of COVID.
Right, in a hotel or something.
And the sad passing of Inga. So, they'd formed all these ideas and relationships and I was in there. And some people had spread tittle-tattle about me, told people what they thought I was like,
Yeah.
And that got up my nose a little bit. And the second one, fewer people, less time, not so much stress, and who wouldn't have a wonderful time with Art Green and Lance Savali? Oh, my God,
That is so
I thought I'd died and gone to heaven.
They are two of the nicest guys
I know
as well,
they are.
eh?
They are so, so, so nice and very unlikely, it was weird. Meanwhile, on the other side of the island or wherever it was, my poor son's struggling to even survive. I told him not to be the alpha male, but he didn't get the message. He couldn't help himself.
I was going to say, can't help himself, right?
No, so he self-imploded. But it was a lot more fun the second time.
Yeah. Would you do it again, knowing what you know?
No, never again.
Would you recommend it to someone? I mean, you made a joke about me, but would you seriously recommend
it? It depends if I knew the person well enough and what I thought they could cope with.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone.
It's quite physical, isn't it? Some of those challenges
it's not
and things as well.
It is quite physical actually. But the hardest thing is if you like your comforts of home and you're an OCD about hygiene and stuff, you're going to really struggle. Yeah. You're going to struggle with the food, the environment, the lack of hygiene. The whole thing is quite,
It just sounds gross.
Yeah, and that gets to you. I hated it the first week. I cried and cried and cried, and I just wanted to go home.
Oh, really?
I wanted to go home. But they'd made me captain, so I couldn't go home.
Yeah.
Couldn't see myself. And I just, honestly, I would have given my right arm just to get out of there. And then those story producers, they're magical, man. They puff you up and make you feel like you're special and tell you you're amazing, you can stay on.
Yeah.
And then finally you get to the stage where you think, I survived that day, I could probably do another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then people stopped putting me up to go home because they knew I wasn't a threat. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think is ageism on the sort of show or the way that they tell the stories?
I think they used my age as I think I was someone who stood up for people who were, I showed that you're not. But yeah, definitely. I mean, there's certain things that you just can't. I can do all those things. I just can't do them as fast as I used to, or for as long as I used to, or as quick as I used to. And that used to frustrate the hell out of me,
Yeah. I just couldn't do it. I mean, and then you're 100 times fitter than I am. So imagine me. I'd be dreadful.
Well, not everyone's a fitness machine on there. There's a lot of other things that require, and they know they're not going to put you up on a challenge that's a physical one. They're going to match you with something with a puzzle or something like that. So
that's true. Hey, I didn't know that you did kiwi fruit picking until I read the book. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So it was the boredom of COVID.
It was.
That's what you said.
2 reasons. One, that my sons had done it as a university holiday job. One lasted 1 day. He said, if you make me go back, I'm going to jump off the balcony. And the other one lasted a bit long. And when it came around, because I live in Tauranga, so everyone's into kiwi fruit. Everyone is. And they were just advertising, and I thought, I could do that. And it would get me out of the house, real reasons. And so I did. But I think, I know they thought I was some undercover, what was I doing?
Yeah.
I got sidled up along to say, well, what are you doing here doing this? So it was... And then I became like the poster girl.
Yeah, that's funny.
Kiwi fruit, and the young girl rings me from comms.
But they wouldn't expect you. I mean, Dame Susan is there, packing and picking kiwi fruit is kind of is exceptional and is something that's kind of cool about New Zealand and cool about you, by the way.
Yeah. But I met some cool people, and I still stay in touch with 2 couples who've since gone on to have their first children, one that stayed in New Zealand, one that's gone back to the UK. Their whole plans changed when they came here to New Zealand because of COVID. They had jobs in the ski fields or whatever. They ended up packing for kiwi fruit. And, and there was a bit of the social justice warrior in me telling, people this was crap. You can't stand for that and you should be able to do this. But it's just... It's just a slice of life, I mean, the thing is, I've never considered myself any different than anybody else. So when I rocked up there for the first day, it was just like I was just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Except I came back the next day when a lot of people didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, you kept going. That determination
Tough
again.
work, actually.
So Devoy's your maiden name? Because I was thinking, getting married in 1986, it would have been quite exceptional to have kept your name. And did you do that because of squash?
I did that because John made me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was quite happy to change my name. But he said, no, that's who you are. And he was my manager at the time, so he probably had other reasons. So, yeah, it was just, he said, I just assume you'll say as Susan Devoy.
Mid-80s, I suppose that was when we were sort of striding ourselves out.
I'm really pleased that I have, actually.
Are you?
Yeah, that I have my own identity and,
And I suppose as part of your winning and that sort of thing, it means that your family name as well is known for being the top of the sport around the world, which is kind of cool.
It's not a terribly common name.
No.
So there's something unique about it. I mean, the boys, they, and it was nice for them because, if I'd become Susan Oakley and they were all Oakleys, then for all the dumb things I've done as well as all the good things, they didn't have to be terribly embarrassed. I mean, a lot of them, even now tell funny stories, like they'll come home from work and someone won't know, or someone might say something about me, or someone might say, oh, I didn't know that was your mother. That's your mother. That's your mother, like shock horror. So it's been good for them. They've been able to fly under the radar without having to,
have a bit of their own. Bit of their own identity. I think that's really important.
They didn't choose their mother, so it's nice for them to have their own.
Yeah.
Be anonymous if they want to.
Yeah, I like that too. Okay, up next we're going to focus in a little on that wonderful outspoken nature of yours and your honesty, and also look at the backlash you faced as Race Relations Commissioner. We are back with Dame Susan Devoy discussing her new memoir, Dame Suzy D, My Story. Now, I want to focus a bit on your time as Race Relations Commissioner. I was a minister, and I remember...
You're the Minister of Police.
I was I then? But yeah, I was. And I remember sitting in appointments and honours when your name came up, actually. So it was quite interesting, and I thought then that it was an interesting for Judith to have put you forward, the minister, and...
So did everyone else.
Wow. Hey, and you touched on it earlier as someone that's just, been at the brunt of a bit of a backlash and all the rest of it in my time. But I genuinely felt for you because you didn't deserve it and you'd done nothing. I
hadn't even cocked it up.
No.
I'm still getting,
No, you hadn't. And so it's incredible, isn't it? So do you think it's just people's perceptions, or do you think that, because it was awful and it was ongoing and ongoing. We can all take a day or two, but when it's kind of weeks, it's just got to get to you at some level.
Embarrassingly so. It's the only time I've wished for a different national tragedy, something that had happened to take me off the front page. But
yeah.
I still to this day don't know why it was so bad. I mean, I wasn't naive, and I knew that it wouldn't be universally, and it may be an interesting appointment, but I didn't expect the vitriol that followed. And, was that because I was a Pākehā? Was that because I was a woman? I think a lot of it's to do that people just assumed that I was just a sports jock, and had done nothing else in my life that would make me suitably qualified for this position. But there is a great story that isn't in the book about Judith. She was formidable. She appointed me, so she had a bit of flack too going on. And a couple of weeks after I'd started, and it didn't look like it was subsiding, she invited me for a coffee. And we went, and I won't name where we went, and we sat there, and she gave some good advice. She'd been under the spotlight of the media, and she said, whatever happens, Susan, no matter how much you feel you're being attacked, keep smiling, keep smiling, because you look like you've, whatever. And I laughed. And then we got up to leave, and she said, and I will leave from the front door and you will leave from the back door. And I thought, I know my place.
Just like that.
But I really appreciated her because, when I started, and if you're appointed by government, as you know, everyone thinks you're a National Party patsy because you've been appointed. And I'd never met Judith until I got my warrant, and I said, and she very rightly said to me, Susan, your role is independent of the government, and you can do and say what you like. This is what you're supposed to do, but please just give me the benefit of knowing first, the no surprises thing, as you know. So, I always respected her for that. So, but I was copping a lot of flack, but she appointed me, so she was copping a bit too.
Yeah, and she as you say, she's been there, so she knows what it's like. And sometimes it's just let's get to tomorrow, one more day, and then try not to feed it which was, hard. And you used to talk in the book about, how you avoided and how you'd go through different doors and even sneak into your own home at some stage, right? Because they're in the driveway. It's kind of horrific, the way that we can attack. And it's not like you'd done anything. It's what I can't get on.
No, I hadn't even had a chance to muck it up, really. But I think we see that happening all the time, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, interestingly enough, yesterday I went to do a piece on breakfast television, and a journalist who's actually talked about it in the book was standing there outside with a cameraman. And they were there for the TVNZ story, of course. But, I haven't for a long time had that gut feeling, which I had all the time at the commission, like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just got that feeling back for the first time in 5 or so years.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, God, he's read the book and he's coming to have a go at me,
Yeah.
And then I realised, Susan, you're not that big a fish. Just carry on. You're just going to breakfast television. But, those things, we can crucify people, can't we?
Yeah, we really can.
We can really.
Now, I think you did a fantastic job, and I mean that. And I mean, within the organisation, I think that you spoke up for people that desperately needed it. But I do think that in some respects as well, you went really out there to defend and get alongside, and particularly around Māori and treaty issues and things like that when you thought people had said stupid things. Do you reckon you really leaned into it to prove to them all that you weren't a National Party stoogie that was a wealthy white middle-aged woman who was demanding around, or do you just think it was who you were?
Oh, I don't think that's an interesting thing to say, because that would never have occurred to me.
Yeah, because it's not who you are. You're just so honest and blunt. You just do you.
No. Yeah, no, that wouldn't.
Did you feel like you had something to prove? Because you put a lot into it.
Oh, I felt like I didn't have something to prove. I had to prove I was able to do the job, you know. And that was difficult because I had internal issues going on as well as external issues. So, wherever I went, it seemed to be, some ways I began to think I was set up to fail,
Yeah.
But I got into the groove after a while, and I think the good thing was that, most of the people that you work with, all they want to do is have a relationship on which they can build trust. And I say that in my role, I needed those people to trust me, and I needed, I shouldn't say those people, it's terrible terminology. I needed people to trust me, and I needed to trust them. Because there were some serious issues. And if we couldn't work together and they couldn't expect me to do my job, then, I'd failed on all counts.
Yeah.
And that was the fantastic part of the job was, all of the, you would know as a member of Parliament or as a minister, what you get to go to, it sometimes drives you nuts, doesn't it? But it's a 24/7 job, and but the people value you being there. They respect your role, and they respect the role of the Racial Relations Commissioner, and so those were the really fantastic times.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about it, and I suppose in the context of Celebrity Treasure Island, but equally, I think when you went into that role, do you just think that people have got just a wrong perception of whom you are and how
people
you
have already
work,
determined who I am and what I think. I mean, I remember, people think I'm a nice, cold maiden, But, I mean, you will probably agree that if you're an outspoken female, you're always going to be labelled as aggressive.
Yeah, true. Yeah, absolutely.
We all know that. We're not assertive or confident or whatever. We're aggressive mongrels, aren't we?
Yeah.
Bitch.
So...
Yeah. So it just comes with the territory, really. And so in some ways, in some ways I'm mellowing, I listen to myself and the answers I've given and I think, God, that's not really you. But perhaps I am maturing, or perhaps I'm just thinking I'm sick of the fight.
Yeah, or don't care as much.
Yeah.
And that's okay, right?
It's not my issue. Yeah, that's right. I'm not paid to sell for someone like that. So it's all different. But if I can just reflect on what you said about Māori and treaty, I suppose I am most concerned now that we seem to be going backwards. I really don't. I mean, I bet you were delighted you weren't
absolutely
in
delighted.
This government.
Yeah, absolutely thrilled.
How the hell, a three-headed, whatever you call it, how are we ever going to... I just think we're just focusing on all the wrong things. What's wrong with our language?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt anyone.
And it just feels like as a country we're getting more and more divided.
I know.
And what we're doing is entrenching instead of opening up. And, the way that I always word it is, instead of celebrating the differences that we have that actually make us unique and interesting and, and fun and all the rest of it, we're expecting, people are just putting up their barriers and then living in these angry boxes, I keep thinking.
It's angry is right. People are angry.
And so, and across the board, I've got to say, that's not just Pākehā, or it's not just Māori, or it's, and we just become this wonderful multicultural, with this pride of our history and our Māoridom as well. And now, it just feels really quite bitter and awful.
I mean, we're such a young country, in terms of history, that for all of us, we've got a part to play in that history. How many people can say that?
Yeah.
That really we're so young and so modern, you would have thought. I just think people are really, really angry. And I think COVID's played into that a lot, all of that happened and whatever. And so everyone's a bit, the economy's not great and all that sort of thing. And everyone's looking to blame someone and something and whatever. But I'm not worried about me. It's not going to affect me.
Yeah.
Probably not going to affect you.
No, I'm fine.
But what about, I would like my children to get married and come home, come and want to live in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And I can't guarantee that that's the case at the moment.
No, and that's sad. Mine aren't here,
No.
And I just kind of go, would I really beg them to come back, that they'll have a better life? And I'm just not quite sure I can say that right now.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's all politics either. I think that, as you say, there's part of it is COVID. I think it's all governments, in some respect, you could sort of see that the others were pushing more and now we've got this one that's pushing a different way. And as a consequence, we're all just standing there and wanting to sort of rage and clench our fists and kind of shout at someone instead of, God, now's when we need to link arms and bloody get on with it, right? More than ever.
Yeah, I just think we're so negative. We've lost a lot of positivity, We just don't seem, that great little country at the end of the world that, punches well above its weight and whatever, or proud of the things that no other country has in the world that's been effective, I mean, not everything's perfect about the treaty, but, it's a partnership that's in effect now and starting to work. But yeah, I really don't know. We could be here forever, but I'm not in politics anymore. I'm not in politics I was never in politics, but and you're not either. So it's easy to take little pot shots from the side.
I call us 19. So I think New Zealand's about a 19-year-old, which has got its advantages because you think you're quite invincible and you can roll up your sleeves and you're getting on with it. But then equally you can be really, really dumb. So I think we're just young, right? As you say, we're just such a young country. I was recently in Shanghai and, and I was talking to someone there and I was like, that we've only been around a couple of 100 years, really. And they were, for them, of course, it was just this, this absolute realisation. So I think that spunk of being small and young and able to really play a part in who we can be and how we can do it is something we should be embracing and being part of. But instead, we're at that, we've sort of got the 19-year-old hangover and we're stomping our feet and being immature, quite frankly.
And a few people stirring the pot.
Yeah, that's really true. So what for you now? You're in you've got a few years under your belt. You've been through your ups and downs. You talked about more travel with John.
Yeah, I mean, we'd like to do more travelling. Our son's getting married to an American in Boston in September, so there'll be some travel around that. I did the Camino last year, the French Camino, so I'd like to do a few more of those. That was pretty cool. I think that there's something else left for me to do. I just don't know what that is yet. But I think writing the book made me realise that I felt a bit sorry for myself at the end and thought I'm turning 60. By the time this book is published, I will be 60, and that at the time feels very old. Now I realise that it's a privilege of being able to be 60 and that I aren't physically or intellectually or emotionally washed up, and there is something, but I don't know what that is. But the great thing about my life that's probably in the book is that opportunity comes knocking when I least expect it.
And you don't always have to know. And sometimes those plans can knock you around, because if they don't come right, you can be so disappointed. But being open to something, and I imagine that's contributing to something, right? I mean...
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I haven't been able to pinpoint exactly what I want to do. There's something community orientated or something focused like that, but I always want to do something that makes a huge change, not just a little around the edges one. But John's retired. He retired on the 8th of January this year and then went back to work on the 14th. So you can tell he's struggling, grappling with that whole. And I think we're both grappling with spending a lot of time together.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been together for over 40 years. That sounds unusual, doesn't it? But we've also led very independent lives. You know, we've done our own things. We've travelled a lot separately. So I think we're both scared to actually be there together all the time. And what the hell are we going to do? But really, what I would love most in the whole world is I'd love to be a grandmother. And it's not that I want to put any pressure on my sons. Because that I'm not doing that to be. But I think of all the things that I'm ready for most, that's it.
Oh, that'd be... Imagine if you got a little girl.
I know. Well, if it's a boy, it probably will be going back.
Oh, yeah, how exciting.
Because I figure with 4, if there aren't already some around that I don't know about, I'm bound to get a girl, aren't I?
Yeah, you have to.
And I think they'll all come in a Russian or...
Yeah. Oh, that'll be fun. And
I've told them I don't even care about the weddings now. Just go for it.
Yeah, bring us the babies.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but my friends are all starting to have their first, and it's like I see that different kind of relationship and love, and I'm a little envious.
Yeah. My granddaughter texts me all the time, and so we just have that relationship, and we FaceTime. And
my children grew up virtually not knowing any of their grandparents. They'd all passed away apart from their grandmother who lived in the South Island, so they've never had that. And, if they keep it too long, and then I'll be a bit dotery and past it, won't I?
You won't be chasing them and throwing the cricket ball.
No.
Okay, the podcast is called Ask Me Anything. So this is the moment where you can ask me something if you want to, but you don't have to.
Ooh, how could I let that opportunity go by?
I always try and say only if you want to, in the hope that someone will go, that's right.
I want to know what you honestly think is Paula Bennett the person and not Paula Bennett the former politician about the current 3-headed coalition.
Oh, that's hard. See, I don't think I can answer it.
Oh, that's fine. You don't have to answer anything. That's what you told me in the beginning.
Yeah. And only because they're friends, and so if I'm hugely complimentary, I don't think I can. And yet,
I never thought about that part of them being friends.
Yeah.
Oh, friends.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Genuinely. So some of the people are really good friends of mine. And so... and I do try to not have the opinion and let them get on and do it. I think there's nothing kind of worse than someone that's sitting there and chipping away.
You know what? That just sounded like a politician's answer.
It does.
Yeah, but very good.
No, well, that's why I'm being honest and saying I don't think I can answer it, and that's why. Because I'd feel stink.
Well, I'll finish then. So I've written a little bit about Winston in my book, and it's all documented and it's all true. You might come have a go at me, But, I respect Winston and I like him, and he'd probably laugh his head off. We've had our run-ins in the past, but the funny thing is that he's, just one of those people, and I think it's going to be water off the duck's back. But, yeah, interesting, really.
Yeah. And it's the motivations of different people, and at some level I do think they're all probably trying to do their best at the moment. I mean, I was saying to someone the other day, they're only 6 months in. They wouldn't have had any staff for the first 3 months, and then you hit January, and now here we are, in April kind of thing, and it's just moving so quickly, and there's such big expectations, and quite frankly...
here's the question.
The country does feel like we're in a funk.
I do want to answer that one. Are there parts of you that wish that you were back in government?
No.
Okay.
No. I'll never have a job like it again, and I don't want to take away from the years I was, but I was there 15. That's more than enough, Susan, more than enough. So I have no desire to go back. I don't miss it. I don't sit there and miss it. I don't think I would have done, and I honestly don't do that. I have such a better life now. I was laughing when you were talking about your husband. So, I had to get to know mine, and we weren't sure if we could live together because I'd been away 3 or 4 nights every week at least. And, so anyway, he's just built a shed.
Someone said to me that if you can get out of politics, A, without being an alcoholic, 2, with your relationship intact. And there was one other thing.
A bit of health, maybe. Cause
yeah, something
God,
like that. They said you've done well.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I got 2 right, maybe.
We're certainly looking very healthy.
I am now, but I think that's from getting out.
Well, it's not a life. Anyway, we're starting to drift off,
We are drifting off. This is what happens when you get 2 women, both a bit stroppy and opinionated and of a similar age. Okay. Dame Susan Devoy, it has been so good to chat to you today. Thank you for coming in. Now, if they want to read, you do want to read Susan's book. That's all there is to it. I have read it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just sat there and thought I'd read it over a few days and ended up binge reading over a couple because I enjoyed it so much. It is honest. It is funny. It is your memoir. Go and buy it in stores now. And that's it for another episode of Ask Me Anything. You can get in touch with me by emailing askpaula@nzherald.co.nz. Feel free to send me through your questions for the podcast or any thoughts you have. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram or LinkedIn. Make sure you follow Ask Me Anything on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Paula Bennett. Ask Me Anything. Goodbye.